Maneco64 here, home of alternative economics, contrarian views. This is the Sunday Q&A, so you guys can ask me any question you want. Just waiting here for people to come on. I'm a little early. I was going to start at 9. Bit hot here still. Someone's come up here. 4 people now. Pablo Pina. Hey, Pablo. First. That's good. Hi, Chris. Good evening. No Grulin. Hi, No. Hi, Nacho. S. Walker. Hello. Yeah, people are showing up. Root Wave. Hello from New York City. Nice to see you. Halder, Patrick Niemer. I'm fine. Yeah, it's still very hot here in the UK, in London. But I'm fine. So this evening, yeah, I'll just take your questions, try to answer them. You can ask me about books as well. If you're interested in reading about things, I might have a book that you might be interested in. Instead of doing like a book stream, I can see if I have something that, could suit. Vince Russo, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Vince. It's my sister's birthday today as well, 5th of August. Omar Ibrahim from Montreal. Yeah, it's not as humid here in London, but it's fairly hot. Yeah, happy birthday, Vince. Hey, the Maestro Way is here. How are you doing, Maestro? I saw your live stream today. I made a comment and then it just froze. So yeah, your picture just froze. My top 3 books for economics or any book. I mean, let me see. For economics, I like The Law, which is more philosophy, by Bastiat, The Law. And then also What Has Government Done to Our Money, by Murray Rothbard. And the one I talked about today, I made a video today about this one, Gold Wars by Ferdinand Lips. I like these books. Of course, there are other books I've read, like fiction books. I don't read just history and economics. One fiction book series I like is by an author called C.J. Sampson. He writes actually detective novels back in Tudor times, and the main character is Shardlake, who's like a hunchback. He's a lawyer, but he's kind of a detective. So I like that kind of stuff as well. Sunny Florida, yeah, Florida is the Sunshine State, I guess. Maestro A, technology is saving the world. Lol. So what's that? In what context is that? The Maestro, technology saving the world. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Technology always evolves, always makes life easier, but in the end of the day, I think the rule of law, morality, small government, sound money, I think that's what's really important to our Western civilization, at least. Technology is just a tool, just like money should be a tool. Right? Money is just a tool. It's like a utility, but it's gone too much the other way because, in my opinion, because of the fiat money system that we have. People just want money for the sake of money. They don't understand that money is actually a reflection of value, of your labor or your ideas or wealth. So yeah, I agree with you. Technology will not save the world. It will help make it better, but we can have all the technology we have, and things are still bad. Look what happened in '08, and I would argue things aren't great right now. Uh, R. Fadal. Everyone talks about gold, but where does silver fit into the incoming reset, if at all? Well, silver is like the yeah, it's the silver will, if gold, when gold does reset, silver will reset as well, because silver is also a monetary metal. It's also an industrial metal, so silver will be there as well. It's not just gold, it's precious metals in general. I do focus on gold, but I do have silver as well. Pedrito Navaja, any updates on EOS? Are you confident that the future of EOS as you were before they launched the mainnet? Oh yeah, EOS is doing well. I think the blockchain is working really well. They're getting a lot of transactions per second. They've sorted out a lot of the kinks, when they launched the mainnet. But right now, cryptocurrencies are, in general, they're kind of stuck in a rut, and so is EOS. But I'm still very confident about the project. Will it save the world like Brian or the maestro is saying? No, but I think it's a great new tool for the world, for the future, for the blockchain, for the internet. And yeah, but it's more of a speculative thing. It's nothing's guaranteed in life. The only thing that's guaranteed is that gold and silver will always hold their value, and they have for thousands of years. Kathleen Smith. Mario, have you read anything about modern money theory, similar to ideas beyond EOS and Steemit? Your thoughts? No, I haven't read about modern money theory. No, I haven't. But I know about Steemit and EOS. William Mount is selling Trump silver coins for $30 per ounce. Well, I guess he's trying to make a profit on it. Hashgraph. Patrick Niemeyer asks, what do I think about Hashgraph? Yeah, I covered Hashgraph when it came out months ago. I think what's his name? Mike Maloney made a video about it, saying it was all the rage and it looked interesting. The only thing I don't like about it, it's that it's not open source, right? These guys, they've got a patent on it and you got to pay for it. So that's the only thing I don't like about Hashgraph. In the end of the day, they'll have to build a community if they want to be successful. The same thing goes for EOS or EOS. The community has to grow. If the community doesn't grow and people don't use the technology, it won't go anywhere. So that's where, but it seems interesting, Hashgraph. The only thing is I did a bit of homework on the guys involved for Hashgraph, and both of them worked for the U.S. government. They taught at like a U.S. Air Force academy. So I'm not sure, do you really want to get involved with the U.S. government in this kind of technology? I'm not sure. I could be wrong. They could be gotten out of their contacts with the government. But yeah, look it up. The main guys with Hashgraph are government guys. Rick W., good evening. Mara, good evening, Rick. Hey, Kent from EOS San Diego. Yeah, Kent made a good video yesterday about EOS, that things are going so well that there's no one talking about it, but actually it's going very smoothly, and I agree with him. I'm not concerned about the price of EOS. I remember 4 or 5 months ago, it dropped really sharply, and I bought some more when it dropped down to like $4. or even below 3, and then it went back all the way to 20, and now it's back down to 7. So yeah, I'm pretty. Am I saying it's going to be like a certainty? No. Like Kent says, things are not certain. It's a speculation. Uh, thanks, Kent. Uh, yeah, Kent says, I love your channel, been watching for a long time. I like your channel as well. Uh, and yeah, San Diego is a nice place. Uh, I was there in the early 80s. My dad took me to San Diego. I played a golf tournament there, the Junior World in Torrey Pines. And while I was playing, my dad actually went up with a guy he met at the golf course. He went up to Carlsbad to play La Quinta. I didn't go because I was playing the tournament. And my dad always told me a few years later that he went with the same guy that he went to play in Carlsbad. He became friends with him. We were there only for about a week. He took him to Balboa Park, where the really young golfers were, and he said, "Oh, there's a little, African American boy. We watched him. He was really good," and it happened to be Tiger Woods. So there you go. Yeah, the thing I remember about San Diego, the weather was always great, very temperate, no rain. Kathleen Smith, Hashgraph is great technology, has no monetary incentive for people to join. EOS has that monetary incentive, and the airdrops are great. Yeah, that's, you see, the Hashgraph is more of a corporate thing. I would say the technology is decentralized, but they're trying to sell it in the centralized fashion, I think. So any thoughts on why the euro is stronger than the pound when the ECB printing so much QE? It's probably more to do with the Brexit problem, the uncertainty surrounding Brexit. That's why the pound has been weaker than the euro. OG's doing some numerology. The number 7, EOS is 21 voters. 21 divided by, 3 times 7. Yeah. Bitcoin, 21 million coins. Steam it also 21 in it. Cryptos are glad in lucky number 7. Yeah, I'm not sure why that number 21 is used. It's weird. Will Nichols, I have an old money friend thinking of selling a percentage of his property portfolio in London. Interesting. Yeah, the other thing that's interesting, I have a really old friend. I came to London in 92. He offered me a job to come to work in the city. I was working in Geneva, and he's been renting. He's been renting ever since I got here. And he never got around to buying a property because it was either too high or it wasn't the right time. But he called me last week and he said that finally he's bought, a flat, very nice area in London. He got a good price. He didn't pay the asking price, and I hope it's not, it doesn't work out like this, because he's a good friend. I still talk to him regularly. He's a good guy, but it could be a contrarian indicator, unfortunately, that my friend decides to buy after 25 years of renting and renting. He actually pulls the trigger right now. I don't think he cares, though, because he's quite wealthy and he's buying a place to live. But it could be a negative signal. Gary Still, hi Mario. What do you think is the ultimate goal for central bankers? Well, I think the central bankers, they're controlled by, how can I say, the very wealthy people in the world, in my opinion. Don't know who they are. Maybe Rothschilds, black nobility, and it's just like a, how can I say, a pump and dump mechanism. That's what central banks are, and they've pumped and dumped quite well in the last 100 years, and that's why there's so much wealth inequality, in my opinion. Not only in the third world, but the UK, the US is becoming more like Brazil, where I grew up. Brazil was is really bad, the wealth inequality. I think that's their function, but I think it's gotten so bad they might even like self-destruct, central banks, because it's gonna like the sell by date, so to speak, will be gone, and it won't be as effective. And you can bet they'll find another way to pump and dump. But I think that's what central banks are for, and that's what they've used it for. Because as Rothschild said in the 19th century, give me control of the money supply, and I care not who makes the laws. And it's interesting, he says, give me control. He didn't say, oh, I'm going to take control, right? So they're very like clever people. So that's the answer for Gary Still. Tyler Durden. I wonder if that's the guy from Zero Hedge. We are still years away from a current crisis. What else are you preparing with? Um, Nothing. I mean, nothing really. I'm not preparing with anything. I'm not a prepper. I do live fairly near the countryside. So, yeah, I'm just living within my means. Yeah, not really preparing in that sense. But I don't know when there's going to be a crisis. It's very difficult to say. Parlando, how can I protect the value of my Bitcoin as sound money? Is that a good hedge? Well, not really sure what you mean by that. I guess the only I would just hold on to your Bitcoin. Protect against what? I mean, it's going to fluctuate in value, but you could try to trade the futures to hedge it, but that's very risky. Anonymous, did you guys hear what happened to Maduro? I think it was yesterday. Yeah, the president of Venezuela, he supposedly there was a drone attack at a parade, and it hurt quite a few of the soldiers marching. But I've read a few articles. Some people are saying it could be a false flag by the Venezuelan government to try to get some backing for the government, because that country is falling apart. Some people are saying it's the CIA. So I don't think we know really what happened. Could be a false flag. It's very easy for them to blame the Americans and the CIA, because the CIA has a history for that, but not sure. It's difficult. Zalatiki, what's the point of the banks owning gold? Well, without gold, the central banks have no credibility. Why do you think they keep gold? Because paper money is worthless. So they need to keep the gold. And the bullion banks basically regulate the price for them in order to keep the public unaware that fiat money is rubbish and worthless. Uh, but they, yeah, that's why they keep gold, because gold is money. Even JP Morgan said that. Thanks, Dan the Man, for the donation. Your opinion on Jews on our culture and media. Uh, well, it's not an opinion, it's a fact that a lot of the big, how can I say, media companies are owned by people who are of the Jewish religion. But yeah, and the thing is, religion, I think it doesn't matter. I focus more on the mechanism of brainwashing or the fiat money. It's not only Jews that are involved. There's a lot of Christians, Muslims. So yeah, I try not to get into that. I try to focus on the mechanism of fiat money and how can I say, how uh, corrupt it is. But the Vatican is involved in this. The Vatican lent gold to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York in the 1970s so they could keep the fiat dollar going. Vatican is not a Jewish institution; it's a Catholic institution. So I try not to lose too much sleep over this question. I know that with the Russiagate thing, that the left is trying to build up or against Trump, that Russia influenced the elections. I think Noam Chomsky, uh, who's like a liberal, he just came out and said that Israel supports, they influence elections even more than the Russians, if the Russians do, right? So, yeah. And I think the British influence American elections, and, they're not Jews. So I've got nothing against Jews. I think there's also a difference between Jewish people and Zionism, right? Zionism is a political movement. Jews are, just normal people who follow a religion like other people follow religions. So I hope that helps your question. Sammy, could the Western countries go through the same fate as Zimbabwe with hyperinflation and later adopt the US dollar as their national currency like Zimbabwe did? Well, I would say Western countries would include the US, Sammy. So why would they adopt the US dollar? I think if the Western countries and the US went through hyperinflation, they'd have to go to gold. Yeah, Will Nichols, oldest banks are Italian. Yeah, I mean, the word bank comes from banco, the money changers in Italy. Some of them might have been Jewish, some of them might have been Italian. The Medici family, I think they were Italian, but they were bankers. So it doesn't really matter. There's corrupt bankers of all kinds of religion. William Wiltrack, as America prints money out of thin air, who touches it first? Well, the bankers do, the politicians, they get to use it first, right? Yeah, there are a lot of, well, I think one of them, what's his name? He left already. There's a Goldman Sachs guy, Cohn, he's left. Mnuchin, of course, he was in Wall Street, and I think he worked for Goldman Sachs. He's a Secretary of the Treasury. Well, sometimes you got to keep your enemy close to you, but the verdict's still, we don't know about Trump. I think it's really difficult to know what's really going on in the US. There's definitely some kind of conflict in the deep state. There's factions. Let's hope it works out well for the general public. In which case would you start selling gold, Marinko? Maybe an emergency. I needed the cash. Or if I wake up tomorrow and is at $6,000 an ounce, I'll sell a little bit maybe. But that's, yeah, try to keep it as long as possible and probably not have to sell it. Anonymous, Swiss who funded Hitler may change their name when moving to a new country, question mark. Well, I don't think it was only the Swiss who funded Hitler. The British funded Hitler. The Americans funded Hitler. You just have to read about the BIS, the Tower of Basel. That's another good book. The Tower of Basel is about the Bank for International Settlements. It just shows you there is public information that the major allies and the Axis countries, they were all doing business financially during World War II. So it's not just the Swiss, even though they were probably also involved. Xander's 1976. Can you see gold lowering to $1,000 per ounce with a stronger dollar? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I think we're pretty close, to the lows in gold. I could be wrong, but it's not a good signal if you go down to 1,000. It's also would be a. I don't think the bankers want that. Kathleen Smith. I used to like Chomsky. Yeah, I don't follow that guy, but I thought that comment was quite good about how Israel influences a lot more American elections than the Russians, and I don't think the Russians really too bothered about it. No, Omar, I think gold will not go below $1,100. Dan the man, thank you again for the donation. What have you got now? Most communist revolutions were led by Zionist Jews, Bolshevik. Yeah, I've read about that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I think yeah. But it takes two sides to tango, Dan the man. So I guess Wall Street was involved. They financed a lot of the Bolsheviks. Whether they are all Jews, I'm not too sure. Some of them were, some of them weren't. Um, so there you go. Again, I like to focus on the systems and just try to show people, because we start going on about Zionists and Jews. Yeah, people don't want to listen to you. I like to focus on the mechanism and the philosophy. I mean, socialism, communism, fiat money, central banking, they're all against free markets, freedom, and morality, in my opinion. So that's the best, bet. And the other people that were involved building up the Soviet Union or companies like Fiat from Italy, they're not Jewish. Ford Motor Company, J.P. Morgan, they were involved. The Germans were involved in the Bolshevik Revolution. So, yeah, maybe the rich Jews were involved as well, but it's not only them that were involved. What is your housing situation in England? How about cost of living? Well, it's very for young people and even for more middle-aged people. They're having problems with affordability. Rents are high as well. So yeah, it's not good. Yeah, Anthony Sutton. He has really good books about Wall Street funding the Bolsheviks, Wall Street funding the Nazis. I mean, Wall Street in the city of London, they'll fund anything that makes money. They don't really care what side they're on. And that's what the bankers have done for centuries. They fund both sides. And that's not just Jewish bankers, all bankers. So it's all about having a conscience, and a lot of them don't. And so there you go. Cry puppies, the crypto yuppies of the 2020s. uh, Gur OG, on what point do you think people were saying enough is enough? Um, if you look at the like the in 2011, I think it was all the revolutions or protests in North Africa. A lot of that happened because food prices went up. I think in Western Europe, in the richer countries, when prices of things that people need really start creeping up, I think, and we're close to that. People are already feeling the pinch. I think the cost of living. Yeah, I would look to that. It's difficult to say when, Gur, but I think we're getting close. T Hambone, do you follow Stefan Molyneux? I have in the past. Recently, I haven't really listened too much to him, but yeah, I like his videos. Stefan Molyneux. He can make some very long ones. Yeah, I agree, JM. Psychopaths. They come in all sizes, colors, and religions, don't they? That's why I don't like to just focus on one group, because it takes just more than one group to create the havoc, right? Yeah, prices over the last 6 months have gone up quite a bit, and I expect them to go up, keep going up. Especially the last 3 months, we've seen sterling go down a lot. I think is going to start kicking in towards autumn. We're going to see prices go up even more. PEH2. When the system collapses, do you think that result will be violent like the French Revolution, peaceful like Gandhi's Salt March, or neutral like the end of Bretton Woods? Um, I think it's going to be there will be skirmishes and like protests, but I think they've got pretty good control of the public, and I think that's one of the reasons we have a police state, because they know it's coming down, and people will be very angry. But who knows? Maybe in the U.S. will be more violent because Americans have the Second Amendment. In Europe, I think Europeans will take it. There was some protests in Greece, but that stopped. There's a spider on my wall. I haven't seen it. Uh, bananas 20p, now 25p. Wow, that's like percentage wise is a big increase. JM, what EOS project do you like the most? Well, there's quite a few airdrops. I haven't really, and I've got them in my wallet. I think IQ seems quite interesting. It's like Everypedia. There's some other ones that I'm not too sure about. The Challenge DApp seems interesting. That's Kent's project. But I think the projects are going to keep coming thick and thin. I mean, there's going to be thousands of projects on the EOS blockchain. Hopefully, I'll just keep getting the airdrops and check in a year's time and see how much they're worth. So, but yeah, I will try to. Recently, I haven't really looked too much. There's another one called eDNA, I think. They're trying to map DNA on the blockchain. I've got some of their tokens already to airdrop. There's loads of interesting projects. Higher vibes, yeah, a bit like LinkedIn. I know the guy who's involved in that. The what's his name? He does the Awakenment YouTube channel. Forgot his name now. Yeah, I agree with what you said there, Hal, dear, about the yeah, we need to focus, as I said. It's much better to focus on the corrupt nature of the monetary system and than to focus on those things. It's not going to help. What's your view on usury? Well, it's part of the fiat money system, right? It's corrupt. We have under a fractional reserve, even if you have low rates like 2%, the fact that they can multiply the money that they lend out of thin air, that's usury itself. So it's not just high interest rates. So yeah, I think fiat money system, this is what creates the usury. But under a sound money system, it's harder to have usury. It's basically cheating, isn't it? Because you're lending something for interest that doesn't exist. That's what usury is. But it's done everywhere now. It's not just a religious thing. Parlano, how, where can you store the airdrop tokens from EOS? Well, they're all in my private, by having a private key, they're all in it. Sometimes I go into the Gray Mass wallet to check it out, see what I've got. Yeah, Charlotte Grove, be your own central banker. That's the best thing. Bobios. It seems that popular distraction of the booming Trump economy might be keeping small investors out of cryptocurrencies. Maybe. I think the other reason, I think Trump knows the economy isn't really booming. He knows there's a lot of debt. He's running huge deficits, but I think he's doing this more to try to get to get the Republicans or the people he's backing to win the elections in November. I agree with you, though. The economy hasn't changed. The statistics are still not real. You still got 95 million people out of the workforce, but they keep saying that unemployment is really low. Anonymous, any info on credit spread? Which credit spread? The spread between, I mean, corporate bonds? I haven't really looked into them. Danny Djokovic. Times Square has a bunch of empty stores for rent. That's how you know it's starting to get bad. Yeah, here in the UK as well, the high street, there's loads of empty shops. Until a few years ago, you'd see new ones coming up. They'd only last 2 years and close down, but it's getting bad here too. I think House of Fraser, which is a big department store, they're going under as well. Girl OG, why is gold and silver so cheap? Don't make sense. Common men can buy with both hands. Should at least be twice the price. I agree. I've said that in some of my videos. Uh, I think they've had to keep it down, the central bankers, the bullion banks, because uh, they have to like prove to the world that this money printing they've done in the last 2 years is not going to be a problem. But eventually it will be, and gold will catch up to the level it should be. You should Google a chart image on uh, Google it, put US national debt and price of gold, and you can see how they follow each other. And for the last 5, 6 years, national debt has gone like that, and the price of gold has stayed like that. So, but it will catch up. And I agree with you, it doesn't make sense. Options credit spread. Options on what? On the credit spread? I don't really. I'm not. I don't. I've worked with options a lot, but I'm not involved on options and credit spreads. It's too arcane, I think, for the average person, unless you're working for Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan, trading those things. I wouldn't touch them. Linda Adrid, will gold lose value to people in the future since it is insurance against inflating fiat when fiat collapses? Will gold lose value to people in the future? No, if the fiat money collapses, gold will gain value. Gold will save whoever is holding on to that gold will it will act as insurance if the fiat money collapses. Yeah, banking on money, more boomers in labor force than millennials. Economy out of balance. Yeah, a lot of the baby boomers, they're older people over 50, and they're taking any job, even low-paying jobs, to supplement some of their, sometimes even their retirements. So yeah, this has been happening quite for the last few years. Uh, Trump lying about the economy. Well, he's not lying about the statistics, but I think he's from the way he was talking during the campaign for president. He said that the stock market was a massive bubble when it was at 15,000 or 17,000, and now it's at 25,000. So I think he's cheerleading more than anything. Yeah, maybe the economy has improved, sentiment has improved, but it's built on a house of cards. It's built on debt. And he probably knows that, but he's not going to say that, of course. So I guess he's being economical with the truth. Hi, Kathleen Smith. No, I haven't read David Graeber. That's the first 5,000 years. I'll have a look. Gary Abbott, what do you think of that Bitcoin bail-in that happened last week when a client defaulted and the broker was forced to spread the losses around? Uh, well, that's why I never lose. Sorry, that's why I always keep my cryptocurrencies in my private wallets. The only time I move them to exchanges if I want to sell them for other cryptocurrencies, and when I do it, I put it right back into my private wallet. So yeah, never don't trust the exchanges too much, even the crypto exchanges. I'm an Echo getting restricted mode enable on my computer. Try to turn off restricted mode. It says video contain inappropriate content. Watching on iPad. Inappropriate content. It could be Dan the Man. Maybe I'll Yeah, I don't know. He just keeps talking about religion, something that we don't really cover here too much. But what will happen if gold and silver are outlawed? Well, it's happened before, I guess, in the U.S. Well, then things are really bad, aren't they? I'm not sure if they'll need to do that. Not too many people own uh, gold and silver anymore. I'm gonna have to. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Huh. John Miranda, when gold gets confiscated, will Canadian maple leaves be included? I guess you're talking about the US. Yeah, I guess it would be any kind of monetary gold, but I don't think they're going to do that. Yeah, I've actually had to take Den the man out of this chat. I don't like to do that, but he's I don't know why he's doing that, and he's probably triggered the inappropriate thing by YouTube. I'm not sure why he keeps going on about it. Like you said, Gary, this is or T Hambone. This is about economics, markets, money. I'm not covering religion here. Linda Adrid, I'm in middle class Southern California. People are spending lots of money. Overpriced real estate is selling in days. Lavish vacation are still being taken. Don't see a slowdown in the economy here. We get that here a lot as well in the UK and London. People uh, properties sell very quickly. People go on cruises twice a year, holidays 3 times a year. And it's all on finance, all on their credit card. Not everyone, but yeah. Another religious question here. I said, and this is on the other side. It's on Jesus and the Bible. I'm not going to answer that. Yeah, anonymous. He could be an agent provocateur, and I noticed that he also made a couple of no donations, so I felt obliged to answer his questions. So I think, yeah, he's gone from this channel. He's blocked now. Do you think that when gold becomes a world reserve currency again, that it will be hit with some kind of big tax? No, I don't think so because that would like defeat the purpose of having it as a world reserve currency. Um, yeah, I don't think if it was held widely by the public, maybe they'd have to do it. But then again, we probably wouldn't be in this trouble with all the debt. Monaco, what do you think will trigger the next debt-fueled crisis? Uh, Good question. Interest rates probably is usually the way, the cost of money. Yeah, interest rates pick up. We are right around that 3% level right now. And I think it could be the Fed. The Fed's going to raise rates another 2 times this year. That might tip the balance. I think the Fed could be the trigger. Hank Kennedy, hello from the Swamp metropolitan area. I assume that's the Beltway, Washington, D.C. Hank. Now, I haven't bought silver from Estonia, zero VAT. No, I haven't. Student loans, yeah, that's anonymous asking. Yeah, it's the after the '08 crisis, they had to find another set of victims to in debt. So they did it with the students, and it's a big scam. I think the student loans, not only in the U.S. but in the UK, because it makes going to university even more, less affordable. It's like all the cheap mortgages. It makes housing even more unaffordable, and it greases all the administrators in the universities. They love it. Uh, Here in the UK, you look at the administrators in universities. They're on six-figure salaries. The deans and the chancellors and people like that. It's a big business, and I think it's not a great thing personally. They're living off the future of future generations, the students. Gary Abbott, do you think China will actually start selling U.S. debt like Russia did? The U.S., if they sell 1 trillion to cover the deficit, if the US sells 1 trillion to cover the deficit and China sells 1 trillion because they're mad, where do you see interest rates? Well, they will be a lot higher, Gary, because Russia sold about 60 billion, and look at what happened to rates in April and May. So if the Chinese were to sell 1 trillion, yeah, it would be like declaring a war, financial war on the US. The U.S. Treasury, U.S. government will probably freeze China's treasuries, so they wouldn't be able to sell. So if they saw them starting to sell a lot, they'd probably freeze that account. But that would be like that's war. Yeah, S. Walker says a lot of the young 20 somethings don't remember 2008, so it will be a shocker for them in the next financial crisis. I agree, and that's what the powers that, excuse me, that's what the powers that be do. That's why the cycles are uh, repeat, because young people come onto the system. They don't know any better. They think that nothing wrong with it, and they don't like to listen to older people. I know that because I was young once. Yeah, that's right, Lily Robin. When the Fed pulls back a liquidity, there's always a crash. Yeah, every time. You're right, and I think we're close to one. And I think Mr. Powell is pushing for one, and that's why Trump has made comments about the Fed. How there? What's going on with Brexit? Well, it looks like there's big odds that there will be no deal with the EU, and it will be a hard Brexit. Uh, the UK will leave with no deal, and that could be quite uncertain for the UK economy. Aussie Max, is US debt clock value of gold and silver indicative of reset value, or simply debt to precious metals holding? I'm not really sure, Aussie. The best thing really, the value of, unfortunately, the real value of gold is in the paper market that we have now. Don't really put too much emphasis on that debt clock, except to look at the how much debt there is. And there are other interesting data on that debt clock, like how much tax the corporations pay. If you notice, income tax is huge compared to corporate tax. So when people go on about having to treat corporations well because they create the jobs, but they pay a lot less tax. And I don't believe in high taxation, but I'm just pointing that out. Are gold and silver still going to take that moonshot, or was that pumper BS? Well, uh, I think gold and silver are going to continue to hold their value over time, and they'll protect your wealth. Uh, the price can spike and drop, but over time it will keep going like this. Right now, I think it's undervalued. They're undervalued, the precious metals. Ian Simpson, hi. I live in Norway and I've been buying gold and silver coins for many years. And here in Norway, gold and silver are classified as money, and therefore exempt from VAT, which in Norway is 25%. Yeah, in the UK, it's the same except for silver, unfortunately. There's no VAT on gold in the whole of Europe, I think. There is, though, in silver. That's good that you can do that, Ian, in Norway. Why would a hard Brexit be hard on the UK economy? Well, because that would mean that the UK would have to work out trade deals with other countries, and I think it would just hurt businesses because of all the uncertainty. So that's why. I personally think the reason the UK economy isn't in great shape and is not because of Brexit. Brexit is just like a trigger, but in the end of the day, we are one of the most indebted countries in the world, be it the public debt, private debt, corporate debt. S. Walker, Ireland is the third largest holder of US Treasury bonds. Well, no, it's not Ireland, the government itself. It's all the big multinationals that have offshore accounts in Ireland. They're based offshore in Ireland. Ireland is a tax haven. The Irish government themselves don't own any treasuries. They might just a little bit, though. The EU gold directive mandate no VAT on gold. Yeah, I think that came out in 1999. That they scrapped VAT from the European Union. Huh, magical 5D. This is off topic, but how is Billy doing? He's fine. He's with my wife on the other side of the house because there's quite a few dogs around, and they trigger him. They've been barking all day, and he's been running out into the garden and barking, so I had to keep him away. He's doing really well. What would you recommend keeping gold in? Jewelry, bullion, or coins? Well, for savings and investments, it would be bullion. And bullion, coins can be numismatic or bullion coins. So yeah, bullion and coins. Jewelry, I mean, you might have some gold jewelry. That's fine. You can always like scrap that as well if you need the money. Oh, hail Billy. Lily Robin, U.S. gold eagles are the most recognizable globally. I don't think so, Lily Robin. I'd like to. I don't want to. I'm not being like rude or anything, but the most recognizable gold coin globally is the gold sovereign. Actually, even U.S. Air pilots, U.S. soldiers in the Iraq War and the first Gulf War, they carry around sovereigns in case they get captured. They don't carry gold eagles. So the most, I would say, I would argue with you. Maybe in the U.S., gold eagles are the most recognizable, but I think worldwide it would be the gold sovereign. Alex Alexander, hi Maneco, do you think the Bitcoin ETF will pass? What are your thoughts? I don't really care. Some people seem to think that if there's an ETF, there will be more interest in Bitcoin. But I think the point of Bitcoin is that it's outside the corrupt Wall Street financial system. So I actually hope it doesn't go through. Krugerrands are also one of the most recognized. Krugerrands and sovereigns, those two. S. Walker, apparently you can travel through airport security with expensive gold jewelry, but not coins or bars. You could get them confiscated. Well, in the UK, gold sovereigns are money, so you can carry them in your pocket, and they can't really confiscate your money. But yeah, jewelry, it depends on the country, but I would say in Europe, there's no problem, especially here in the UK and Switzerland, I would say, maybe not in other countries. So yeah, I'm gonna take a couple more questions and then I'll call it a day. Been over doing this for an hour now, so we'll just take two more questions from you guys. You're welcome, S. Walker. Just waiting for a couple more questions and then I'll go. I don't know if you guys know, I've set up on Teespring a store or shop, and I've done Billy merchandise, and I've done some end of Fed T-shirts and stickers and mugs. So if you guys are interested, I'll put it in the description below of this video of this live stream when it's finished, and I put it in all my videos in the description as well if you'd like to get something. I've just done an end of Fed T-shirt as well. It's not like this one, but it's similar. Danny Djokovic, that's a question here. When you're coming to New York City? I don't know. I mean, the last time I went was 2011, so it's been a few years. I used to go fairly regularly for business to New York City. Jim Ross, have you ever what the hell? Let's get him out of here. We don't want him. Okay. Just one more last question here from Banking on Money. Are there additional countries leaving the EU with Brexit? No, Brexit is just something the UK voted on, a referendum to leave the EU. Hence the name Brexit. It comes from Britain exit, Brexit. So no, it's just the UK. So yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. asking the questions and participating. And I'll let you guys know when I'm going to do my next live stream during the week. Uh, Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Take care. Have a good rest of the weekend. Bye.